What if I told you that Ukraine is waging a new kind of warfare? One that doesn't involve tanks or ground troops but is just as devastating. What if, with the push of a button, strategic Russian energy infrastructure could be crippled, causing millions in losses and disrupting military logistics? This is not a hypothetical scenario, it's happening right now.
There are reports this Wednesday that a drone has crashed into an oil refinery in southern Russia.
Welcome back. Just a day after the Kremlin accused Ukraine of launching drone strikes on Moscow.
Ukraine is claiming an attack on a Russian oil refinery and pumping station in the country's Ryazan region.
Ukraine's drone warfare is redefining modern combat, and Russia's oil facilities are taking the hit. Before we dive into the details, make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay updated with the latest developments on global conflicts, geopolitical strategies, and breaking military insights. Now let's explore how Ukraine's relentless drone strikes are shaking up Russia's war efforts and economy. Ukrainian drones have struck a Russian oil refinery for the second time in 2 weeks. Ukraine's security service has intensified its targeted attacks on critical Russian oil facilities, with the latest operation hitting the Andria oil pumping station. This facility is a key component of the Baltic pipeline system, making it a vital part of Russia's energy supply chain. This recent strike is not an isolated event. In fact, it marks the second attack on the same station within a 2-week span. Ukrainian forces have identified and prioritized key infrastructure sites that fuel Russia's military operations. By disabling electrical panels, communications control units, and key operational elements, these strikes have resulted in temporary shutdowns and financial strain on Russia's energy sector. But what does this mean for Russia? Even a temporary suspension of oil pumping activities can result in millions of dollars in losses. This is why Ukraine's drone warfare strategy is proving to be so effective. It doesn't just damage physical infrastructure, it disrupts the very foundation of Russia's economic and military stability. Ukraine's drone strikes on Russian oil refineries aim to weaken Russia's war machine and economic backbone. Ukraine understands that modern warfare is no longer just about soldiers on the battlefield. It's about crippling the enemy's ability to fund and sustain its operations. Targeting oil refineries is a calculated move to weaken Russia's financial and logistical stability. Oil is the lifeline of Russia's war machine. It fuels the tanks, jets, and supply trucks that sustain their war efforts. By disrupting oil production and transportation, Ukraine directly impacts Russia's military capabilities. Massive financial losses. The Andria pumping station alone costs Russia millions of dollars daily when shut down due to attacks. This financial drain makes it harder for Russia to fund its prolonged military campaigns. Increased pressure on Moscow. With each successful strike, Ukraine forces Russia to allocate more resources toward protecting energy infrastructure instead of advancing military goals. This strategy is a clear message. Ukraine is not just defending its territory, it is strategically attacking Russia where it hurts the most. Ukraine is regularly targeting Russian oil facilities to reduce Moscow's war funding. These drone strikes are not random, they follow a pattern of precise and calculated assaults on key energy hubs across Russia. Cities such as Krasnodar and Tver have seen repeated drone incursions, causing widespread disruption and reinforcing Ukraine's commitment to economic warfare. With drone technology advancing rapidly, Ukraine has been able to deploy unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, with increased precision and range. This has given them the ability to strike deep within Russian territory, far beyond traditional battle zones. A new form of economic warfare. Ukraine's shift from battlefield engagements to economic sabotage is forcing Russia to reconsider its strategic defense measures. Psychological impact. These attacks instill fear within Russian industries, leading to heightened security measures and economic uncertainty. Russia's response. Despite Moscow's efforts to shoot down drones and reinforce security, Ukraine continues to adapt, making its attacks increasingly difficult to predict and counter. Experts believe Ukraine's strategic success lies in its targeted attacks on Russia's production facilities. Ukraine's military strategy isn't just about immediate damage, it's about long-term destabilization. Each strike weakens Russia's ability to sustain its war efforts, slowly diminishing its capacity to wage prolonged conflict. One notable attack targeted a metallurgical plant in the Lipetsk region which directly supports Russia's military-industrial complex. By cutting off key resources needed for weapons production, Ukraine is ensuring that Russia's military supplies dwindle over time. This approach is twofold, directly impacting Russia's ability to produce military equipment. With disrupted supply chains, Moscow faces production delays and rising costs. Sending a message to Russian leadership, these strikes demonstrate that Ukraine can and will take the fight to Russian territory, increasing pressure on the Kremlin to reconsider its war strategies. The Russian army continues to suffer defeats in the war that is in full swing on Ukrainian territory. While Ukraine aggressively targets Russian infrastructure, the battlefield situation remains volatile. Reports suggest that Russian military losses are mounting, with the war stretching into its third year. Meanwhile, discussions about potential peace negotiations remain overshadowed by intensifying Ukrainian offensives. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that Russia's ambitions extend beyond Ukraine. With Moscow reportedly seeking to bolster its forces with North Korean troops and expanding its military technology, there are concerns that this conflict could spill over into neighboring countries. The risk to Europe countries like Poland and Lithuania remain wary of Russian aggression, increasing their military readiness. Russia's military expansion reports indicate plans to expand Russian military personnel by more than 250,000 troops by 2025. The role of North Korea. With North Korea supplying soldiers and military technology, a new geopolitical alliance is forming, raising concerns about a broader conflict. The question remains, will Ukraine's strategy of drone warfare and economic attacks be enough to shift the tide of war, or is Russia preparing for an even larger military escalation? One thing is clear, this conflict is far from over, and the next phase of warfare could redefine global military strategies for years to come. We've only scratched the surface of this evolving war. We'll explore Russia's countermeasures, Ukraine's next strategic moves, and the global implications of this conflict. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. What are your thoughts on Ukraine's drone warfare? Let us know in the comments below.